Step into the future in Epcot Center's newest adventure. Step into the future in Horizons. Step into the future today.
Entre la Terre et la Lune commence l'aventure. Space Mountain, la plus grande attraction de la galaxie, est à Disneyland Paris.
For centuries, man had but his own two eyes to explore the wonders of his world. Then he invented the microscope, a mighty eye, and discovered the fantastic universe beyond the limits of his own meager sight. Now your adventure through inner space has begun. Through Monsanto's mighty microscope, you will travel into the incredible universe found within a tiny fragment.
Something like this.
Oh, hey, you can see me. Well, that's good news. I've been stuck in here for quite a while. I bet you're wondering how I ended up in your TV, surrounded by old vintage Disney Parks commercials, and the correct answer to that is I have no idea. I went to sleep one night and woke up surrounded by people speaking French about Space Mountain, and then also people rapping about Splash Mountain. I mean, none of this makes any sense, all right? I don't get these old commercials. You know, being trapped with Disney commercials for the better part of a week has given me a lot of time to think. I mean, look at this. World of Motion. Was it really as good as they're making it out to be? I mean, it was an omnimover, which we all enjoy, but I don't... Oh, hold on. Well, the signal's improved. It's a green screen again. It's working. It's okay. Apparently, one way to get out of this weird commercial box that I'm stuck in is to talk crap about old Disney rides. Easy enough. I mean, World of Motion. Who likes World of Motion? Now, Test Track 2.0, that's so much better. And it's working. And now, Soarin.
Soarin. Visit DisneyWorld.com for more about the happiest celebration.
Oh no, it happened again.
When you wish upon, come on, do I have to spell it out?
Alright,
Audio's looking good. Soarin over California. Was it really as good as we remember? I would think a lot of people would answer yes, especially after having been on Soarin' around the world. Now, I've heard a number of complaints about Soarin' over the world, from the bad CGI to the bendy Eiffel Tower, and I would say one of those two complaints is valid. I mean, yeah, I guess both of them are valid, but let's not go out here pretending like Soarin' over California had the absolute most cutting-edge CGI graphics of all time. This hang glider looks like he's made out of Play-Doh. But then so do these rowers. Can you kind of see what problem I'm running into? Soarin' over the world, I think, fits better at the Land Pavilion at Epcot because it's Epcot. The World Showcase, going around the world, soaring around the world, it makes a lot of narrative sense to be there. Soarin' over the world at California Adventure, though, that's different. Because while Soarin' over the world makes sense at the park where you travel the world, Disney California Adventure is not that park. Plus, it's got California in the name, right there, see? Now, in order to get out of this weird TV commercial box limbo that I find myself in, I'm not here to say whether or not California is better than Over the World, or Over the World is better than California. I'm here to raise the question of, was the old version of the ride really as good as we remember it? And in this case, I'm going to say, yeah. The score, the smell of flying over those orange groves, and the way none of the landmarks really bend the same way the Eiffel Tower does really make this more, I'm gonna say, immersive than Over the World. I'm not saying Over the World is bad. In fact, I like all versions of Soarin', but Soarin' over California just really made you feel like you were actually flying over California. Was the original Soarin' as good as we remember? Yes, and I think that's part of the reason why Disney just insists on bringing it back for every food and wine festival at California Adventure. They know people want it. Okay, but that's an easy one. Yes, Soarin' over California was great. Let's go to a bit of a more difficult one. Step into the future. Step into the future today with Horizon. Yeah, we get it, all right? We understand. Horizons is where you step into the future. Sure, whatever. Is it as good as we remember it? Is Mission Space better than Horizons? It sounds sacrilegious to say. Let's go through the old ride and see what it had to offer compared to Mission Space nowadays. At least Horizons didn't make you vomit, but neither did Universe of Energy, and I do prefer Cosmic Rewind over that. Let's talk about Horizons. Oh, Horizons, how do I love the let me count the ways. Is it your UFO-esque facade, your kitschy set pieces, or your unique brand of 80s retrofuturism? We're always looking back at the 60s retrofuturists like that was a big deal. No, my friends, the true charm is in 80s retrofuturism. I mean, just look at this. Look at, you're telling me you don't want to live in this city? I want to live in this city. The ride was an omnimover similar to the Haunted Mansion, which guaranteed short waits, and I'm always a fan of short waits. Essentially, it was just a longer, more intricate on-ride version of the post-chauffeur Space Mountain at the Magic Kingdom. It served as a sequel to the Carousel of Progress and was sort of a slice-of-life POV you live in the future style ride. Now let's head over and look at Mission Space. Now I will admit, the facade is really good looking. The Mission Space facade is impressive, I said it. The queue and the pre-show, they're okay. You know, they're fine. It's not really super high budget. It's mostly just a video you watch where they explain what's gonna happen. I get real big dinosaur vibes from the pre-show of Mission Space. But when you get on the actual attraction, it is a simulator. Not only that, it is a centrifuge. And if there are two things I dislike immensely, those are centrifuges, it's a long story, I won't get into it, and simulator attractions. The only one I ever thought was sort of good, like passable, is Millennium Falcon, and that's just because it's so interactive. Mission Space was so vomit-inducing that they introduced a green team, a less intense version of the attraction, and I still get nauseous on that one. I can't take it. I seriously can't handle it. I will give Mission Space 2 concessions, though. The rotating space station in the queue, that's really impressive. It seems like it's pulled right out of Horizons. It's even got the little logo on it. See? Right there. And for those brief moments where you do feel truly weightless without being nauseous or looking to the side or having to do anything when it's not rumbling, that's fun. Vomit-inducing simulator or slow-moving dark ride with physical sets and an original theme song. I think you all know where I'm going with this. Yes, I do think Horizons was better than Mission Space and not overrated in the least. You know, sometimes we look back at these old attractions with rose-tinted glasses like Soarin' over California or Horizons and we think to ourselves, man, it would be so much better if these things were here today. And sometimes that's correct in the case of Soarin' over California or Horizons, but other times, not quite. For example, in this instance, let's go back further before the days of Soarin' over the World and Soarin' over California, back to the Land Pavilion, right next to the best attraction ever, and talk about Kitchen Cabaret and Food Rocks. See, Kitchen Cabaret preceded Food Rocks, which preceded Soarin' over California, which preceded Soarin' over the World. It was all about nutrition and the different food groups you could find within your very own home and your very own pantry. It's back in the days when the Land Pavilion was all about nutrition and health, sort of like another pavilion I've heard of that is now closed. But we're not going to dwell on that. It wasn't about soaring or living, it was about eating, and eating well. Now, Food Rocks was this sort of animatronic musical show, think Tiki Room or Country Bear Jamboree, but instead of birds and bears, you have milk cartons and tomatoes and horrifying cheese women. Now, you can already kind of see where I'm going with this. I don't think Food Rocks or Kitchen Cabaret were as good as people remember them to be. They were part of the Epcot Forever fireworks. Now, they are part of Epcot history, but they were a bit cheesy, pardon the pun, and that's not a bad thing. I think they have their charms. Food Rocks and Kitchen Cabaret were equal parts creepy, entertaining, and cheesy. Again, I gotta think of a different word. It's not gonna work for this segment. But to say that these were classics, that they belong with all these other Epcot greats like World of Motion and Horizons, Journey into Imagination, that's being a bit disingenuous, I think. It's not bad, it's just not amazing. It's got that weird kitschy charm, but it's not that classic Epcot charm that World of Motions and Horizons and Journey into Imaginations had. It's something completely different. Something, I guess, almost indescribable, because aside from things like I've already mentioned, the Tiki Room and the Country Bears, we haven't really had another attraction like this since Food Rocks. It's its own whole kind of thing, but I mean, this is where the Epcot purists are wrong. Food Rocks and Kitchen Cabaret weren't good. They could be fun, but they weren't good. I do think Soarin' is a better use of the room right now. Now, as to whether that's Soarin' over the World or Soarin' over California I'm talking about, please be sure to refer to the earlier segment in this video. Thank you. Okay, what do we talk about next? What's this?
What's this all about? I thought we had fixed this problem.
Microscope,
okay,
you
all
will
right.
travel into the incredible universe found within a tiny fragment of a snowflake.
Ghost host?
I am the first person to make this fabulous journey.
What?
Suspended in the timelessness of inner space are the thought waves of my first impressions.
That sounds like a
They will
living
be
hell.
our
Oh,
only
inner
source
space.
of
We're talking about adventure through inner space. Okay, test.
Okay. All right, we're looking good again. Adventure through inner space. It's at Disneyland, right where Star Tours is these days. And if you've watched some of my past videos, you know where I'm going with this. Yes, I think Adventures Through Inner Space is superior to Star Tours. I will take a physical set dark ride Omnimover narrated by Paul Frees any day of the week of my life over a simulator attraction. But no, we're not here to start fights. We're here to talk about whether or not it was overrated. And compared to the other Paul Frees Omnimover dark ride, I will say that yeah, Adventure Through Inner Space is kinda overrated. It was Disney's first foray into dark rides like this, right? It didn't have audio animatronics the same way Pirates or Mansion did. Looking at actual ride footage of it, it feels like I could best describe it as a moving art show, where you go through these different scenes of the snowflake and the mighty microscope, and it's very beautiful set pieces, really cool sort of early Disney set pieces like you would find in the Fantasyland dark rides, except you're on an Omnimover, and not much happens. Now compare that to Star Tours, which was a massive hit upon its opening. The park stayed open for 3 days straight, and continues to this day to draw, a serviceable amount of crowds. Whether or not Star Wars belongs in Tomorrowland, that's a different conversation. It doesn't, but we tend to look back on Adventure Through Inner Space with these rose-tinted glasses. Yes, it was a dark ride with physical sets. Yes, it was narrated by the ghost host, but it wasn't all that great. It wasn't an e-ticket like Pirates or Mansion, and I think we forget that because we all automatically sort of assume in our brains that dark ride with physical sets is better than a simulator. But everyone, I can't be out here in good conscience saying that Adventure Through Inner Space looks like an amazing e-ticket attraction. It might to people like me. It's just in this current Disney parks climate that we live in, if they were to bring back the 1967 version of Adventure Through Inner Space, I think people would be very disappointed that it replaced Star Tours. Now, if they brought back Adventure Through Inner Space but spruced it up, add some animatronics, add some really cool special effects, I think it would be a vast improvement over Star Tours. But as it stands, the old ride is remembered fondly, but it's a snowflake. I say, bring it back and do something cool. Like, I don't know, instead of shrinking down inside of a snowflake, we could instead shrink down to the amount of time it took for the Cosmic Rewind boarding groups to sell out on opening day. That would be cool and interesting to see!
Wait, what?
But I digress. Let's move forward ahead to one of the most well-loved classic Disneyland and Walt Disney World attractions that has an unlikely successor at Walt Disney World. And no, even though the camera was focused on the People Mover, we are not talking about that. Instead, we are talking about the magical and futuristic Skyway to Fantasyland and also to Tomorrowland at both the Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. That took me a lot of words to say. The Skyway. Now, at Walt Disney World, where you can currently visit Princess Rapunzel, Flynn Rider, and the toilet, used to be the entrance to the Skyway. And boy, let me tell you what a Skyway it was. You got to see some aerial views of Fantasyland as you traveled toward Tomorrowland. The Tomorrowland station, by the way, is actually the Space Mountain bathrooms that you can still access today. Those were the Skyway bathrooms back when they first opened. Now you're saying to me, offhand, Dallin, there is nothing that replaced the Skyway at either parks besides 2 bathrooms. Oddly enough, actually never thought of that before. The Tangled restrooms replaced the Fantasyland station and the Space Mountain restrooms replaced the Tomorrowland station. I guess they just need bathrooms. And yes, while you're correct that no attraction technically replaced the Skyway, they were both torn down and never spoken of ever again, we do have at the Walt Disney World Resort one of the best rides you don't have to pay to go on, the Skyliner. Now, I personally have never been on either Skyway, so I can only speak to the Skyliner, but I do love myself the Skyliner. But does the Skyliner make you look back at the Skyway? I'm saying Sky a lot, and wonder to yourself, maybe this was a bit overrated? No, it doesn't. When you hear me talk about some of my favorite attractions, they're not the Rise of the Resistances, they're not the Cosmic Rewinds or the Test Tracks, they're the slower, more intimate attractions. The People Mover, Living with the Land, the Skyliner in this case at Walt Disney World, and of course the Disneyland and Walt Disney World railroads. At least the People Mover Railroad and Skyway do. And you know what? I'll even throw the monorail in there. Transportation systems. Things that you can just hop on and ride around and around and around, and in Disney Dance case, around and around and around and around and around. Attractions that aren't about thrills, but are instead about taking in the scenery, taking in what the Imagineers and Walt and Roy and all of these different executives, yes, even that one, have brought to you. Somewhere where you can just sit back, relax, and be at the Disney parks. No, the Skyway was not overrated, and riding the Skyliner to this day helps me just sort of reinforce that. The Skyliner is essentially the same thing, except instead of going land to land, you go hotel to hotel to park. And honestly, at this point, I'm beginning to think that oh yeah, did you see? Oh, 16 by 9, I told you this was all gonna work out. Now I'm back at the green screen again. Finally, I can just take a breather and relax. Hey. All right. Well, all I had to do, apparently, as it turns out, is tell people their favorite Disney attractions from when they were children were overrated and not as good as they remember. So, how about we continue that and go back to where we started this video at with World of Motion. Now, World of Motion, I think, is pretty fun. I've never actually been on it, but it gives a lot of Spaceship Earth and Horizons vibes. It was the ride that preceded Test Track. Some people preferred Test Track 1.0, some people preferred Test Track 2.0. I'm in this camp, but some people, even more so than 1.0 versus 2.0, preferred the World of Motion. And I can see why. Look at this footage. World of Motion, like Horizons, is best described as a Spaceship Earth style ride, a cheesy Epcot dark ride that took you through the present, the future, and also sometimes the past, and showed you where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And in this case, quite literally, because it's a history of motion. Starting from the very beginning with the hand-drawn cart and going all the way up to the cars of the future. And the one thing that really interests me about this attraction is the ride system looks to be quite similar to Ford's Magic Skyway from the 1964-1965 World's Fair. Even the show building sort of calls back to the 1964 World's Fair, although it could also be in the shape of a wheel, so, you know, who knows, either or. And now today, where all of the different show scenes of World of Motion took place, it's the Test Track queue. The building, though, is the same. When you're in the queue for Test Track, just look up and around you. You'll see the black painted ceilings of the warehouse that are left over from when World of Motion was around. Although Test Track 2.0 itself is on the newer side, the show building is very old and has been there since opening day, and you can really feel it when you're in line. It feels like it's just classic Epcot, sort of hidden behind these walls and facades. Somewhere down deep in this building, World of Motion still lives. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I like to think it is. Some hidden props, or maybe even remnants of a full show scene hidden just beyond our view. I know it's probably not like that, but it feels like it is. Now, was World of Motion overrated? I don't really think so. Like I said, it's that classic Epcot edutainment dark ride like Spaceship Earth, Horizons, and to a sort of lesser extent, Living with the Land, which is, you know, one of the only remnants of an old Epcot that we still have. As a kid, it would probably be extremely boring to me, but nowadays, I absolutely love Spaceship Earth and Living with the Land. So me now, I would most likely enjoy World of Motion. Better or worse than Test Track? I don't even think we can compare these two attractions because they're so fundamentally different. One is a Radiator Spring style slot car racer, and the other is a slow-moving dark ride through history. But in order to keep me out of the commercial realm, was it overrated? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say World of Motion was completely rated. It filled a really charming niche that isn't really apparent today at Epcot, and that's why I love it. Was it good? Yeah, I'm gonna say it's good. Look at this futuristic city model. Again, drawing back to Horizons, 80s retro futurism was awesome, and I want to live here. How would you even enter this building? What would you do? Where would you live? It's made out of crystal. And would you look at that? The green screen is back, which means I can, wait, I might be able to, if I get in here. Perfect. Look at that. Everyone, it looks like I'm out. I did it. I finally escaped from those commercials. That was a absolute nightmare. I don't want to ever go back in there again. But just to be sure, to be safe, I'm going to make a few enemies. I think I need to talk about one more attraction that was highly overrated, that is looked back on with fondness, that I don't think really deserves it. All right, everyone. I'm sorry, but We need to talk about the Great Movie Ride. Yes, I did indeed go there, my friends. The Great Movie Ride was one of the flagship attractions of Disney MGM Studios, now Hollywood Studios, when it first opened. It was a tour through both Golden Age and classic movies in Hollywood, and at the time, more modern movies from Hollywood like Alien and Indiana Jones. Now, before I get into the bad, I want to talk about some of the good with the Great Movie Ride, some things that I actually enjoyed and sort of miss, and that's one, the live cast members. Just like another classic Disney attraction that is now sort of rethemed, the Great Movie Ride featured both audio animatronic show scenes and live cast members guiding you through the story. And I think the aspect of having a live cast member on the ride with you really adds a lot, like on the Jungle Cruise. No two rides are quite the same because the cast member makes it unique. Another thing that I loved in the Great Movie Ride was the Wizard of Oz scene. Not that one, but Munchkinland, the giant Munchkinland set with the Wicked Witch of the West audio animatronic. When I was a child, I thought that was a person. It's an animatronic. That set is incredibly well done, and the animatronic is super impressive. That is, of course, the Munchkin starts shaking. Then you gotta run for your life. And lastly, not quite the outro scene, but the intro scene, the loading area when you ride into the movies, literally into the movie theater, into a screen. There's absolutely nothing like it. I love that set, all the bright light bulbs. It's very Main Street USA, but you're inside in a controlled environment. It's beautiful. And now, on to the bad parts. Footlight Parade. Everyone remember Footlight Parade? No? Okay, good. I mean, a lot of us know about the old movies that are inside the Great Movie Ride, either A, from the Great Movie Ride, or B, we just know of them, because they're classic films. But children and families riding those rides, they don't know about Footlight Parade. They don't know about Singin' in the Rain, and kids even may not know about The Wizard of Oz. I don't know. If you're a young person watching this video, have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz, and what did you think of it? I'm honestly really curious. I think the Great Movie Ride in concept really worked, a journey through movies, but the fact that they just couldn't upgrade it every, decade or 5 years or 20 years, it sort of, for a lack of a better term, put an expiration date on the ride. I would liken the Great Movie Ride to Maelstrom, where when they both existed, Disney fans and hardcore Disney parks enthusiasts, yes, we liked them. But the average Disney parks guest wasn't really lining up for hours in order to visit the Puffins or to see Singing in the Rain. Now that you can meet Anna and Elsa or Mickey and Minnie, they get people excited, and they have long lines because people love these characters. And I'm not saying IP is always a good thing, right? Maelstrom wasn't IP. Great Movie Ride was a lot of IP, if you think about it. But they just weren't made for everyone. Meanwhile, Frozen and Runaway Railway were. And I think that's what it comes down to, and that's why the Great Movie Ride was overrated. I'm so sorry. Well, now that that's finally over, I think I will go say hello to my family and go get something to eat, because it has been a week. I am very hungry and feeling very faint. So, I'll see you all in the next video in the end card, and sorry about the Great Movie Ride entry. Hello my friends, and thank you so much for watching this video on a bunch of old Disney Parks rides that I think we might, look back on a little bit too fondly. If you enjoyed this video, or if you hated this video, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you're new around here and want more content like this. A massive thank you to all of my supporters, first and foremost, over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They help keep this show running, and I couldn't do what I do without them. If you want early access to some videos, some exclusive videos, head over there. There's a link in the description down below, and even just $1 a month will get you access to most of the perks. They are such wonderful people, and I can't thank them enough, honestly. Thank you all so much, all of my patrons. You guys are just the best. Still no retheme announced for Tarzan's Treehouse, so it looks like my powers have a recharging phase. If you want to follow me on my other social media accounts when that news does break, I can say that I've called it. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Offhand Disney. On all of those places, I should be that hard to find. I mean, I could be pretty difficult to find, but not on the social medias. And I'm really excited to say that we do, in fact, have a new episode of Foolish Mortals filmed, and I am just in the editing process of that right now, so we should have a new Foolish Mortals episode out. If you're not subscribed to that channel, it will also be linked in the description down below. It's the podcast that I do with my good friend, Disney Dan, who is, as we speak, on a Disney cruise. I'm extremely jealous, so head over there, check it out when it's live. I'll let you all know when it does end up going live, and that, I believe, is all the news I have for you all. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around until the end card. That's like the coolest place to be if you're an Offhand Disney watcher. And I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.